Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be ranking the films of Sam Mendes. So Sam Mendes is actually one of my favorite directors, probably in my top 10. He's got only 9 films, but I own 7 of those films, so it tells you kind of how much I really like his movies, and even the 2 I don't have, I still actually like. I think they're decent films. I don't think he's made a bad film. Judging by this tier list here and the 5 categories, I wouldn't actually... Even looking at those categories, I wouldn't put any of these films below the good tier, so that just kind of tells you how good of a director he really is. So yeah, we'll just kick off this list and get straight into it. So first up, we have his big epic war film, World War I film, 1917, that came out back in 2019, I think. It's his second most recent film, and it's a really, really good film. I'm going to put it in the amazing tier, not quite masterpiece. A lot of people probably would. I think it's very close to being a masterpiece, though. I think that this film has a lot going for it. There's not too many movies set during World War I, so I really like that it's set there. Obviously, the film is made to look like a long tracking shot, which is really what the main thing the film kind of has going for it. The cinematography with Roger Deakins is incredible. The musical score is great. I think, though, the thing holding it back from being a masterpiece is its story and its characters. Like, it's not really that different from many other war films in that aspect. I think the thing that really boosts it is the way the film was shot. Like I said, it's meant to look like one long tracking shot, and I think if the film was shot more conventionally and just kind of to look like a normal film, it wouldn't be as good as it is. However, the way it was filmed, the way it was made, the way it immerses you in the environment and with the characters is really amazing. Some of the sequences are just nail-biting and jaw-dropping, incredible, especially this nighttime sequence in these ruins where there's flares going up, and just the lighting of that scene alone is like worth it being in the amazing tier. So I think it's fantastic. I think it's not quite a masterpiece though, but it is an amazing film. Next up, we have the movie that started everything for Sam Mendes, the 1999 drama black comedy, I guess you could call it, American Beauty. And this is a masterpiece. This is a great film. It stars Kevin Spacey in one of his best 90s roles. He was really good in the mid to late 90s with films like this and LA Confidential and Seven and The Usual Suspects. But American Beauty is up there with like the greatest debut films from directors, because it's just incredible, and it's one of Sam Mendes' best movies. A lot of people would say it is his best. It started his pairing with Thomas Newman, who's a composer who's pretty much done almost all of his films, and the music he makes for his films are just amazing. Like from this film right on through to 1917, they work together, and all their scores are incredible. They're really emotional and impactful, and Thomas Newman's just one of my favorite composers as well. But American Beauty is a very interesting film because it's a drama, but it's also kind of like a black comedy. It's quite funny at times, but quite serious as well, and it really balances those themes really well. It's a bit risky and edgy with the subject matter, especially nowadays, but it's still a fantastic film, and I still really enjoy it a whole lot, and I definitely think it deserves to be in the S tier or the masterpiece tier. So next up, we have a little kind of indie film that he's not really well known for. It came out in 2009, and it's called Away We Go, and it's kind of just a small budget kind of drama comedy, light-hearted comedy film about a couple who are about to have a baby, and they don't really know what to do with their lives. They don't feel like they're grown-ups yet or anything, so they're traveling around America looking for the best place to like put down roots and start their family. And it's a fantastic movie for what it is, but I don't think when I'm comparing it to his other films that I can put it as high as I would. So I'm going to put Away We Go in the good tier, but that being said, it's still a very good movie, and I have it on Blu-ray as well. This is one of his only films that doesn't have a musical score by Thomas Newman. It actually has music from the singer, songwriter, and guitarist Alexi Murdoch, and I'd never heard of him before this movie, but I really liked his music, and the songs that were in this film are just really kind of mellow and calming and really nice, and kind of got me into his music. So I was really glad that even though he didn't use Thomas Newman's music for this film, he still managed to find something that suited the film and the subject itself. So it's a really good movie. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it, because it's one that a lot of people don't seem to have seen or don't seem to really associate with Sam Mendes, because he's made a lot of big kind of films like the James Bond movies and that as well. But it's really good, and I would really recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's really kind of just a nice feel-good film, which he doesn't really do too many of, to be honest. So Next up we have Jarhead. This is another one I'm going to put in the good tier. This is one of the ones I don't own. I think it's a good film, it's a solid film, but I don't think it's great by any means. Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favourite actors, and he's really good here. The movie has a very bright and white, crisp kind of look to it, and it's a bit misleading because it's marketed as a war film, but there's not really any action or violence going on because it's about these soldiers who are struggling because they really want to see that kind of action and have their war, but nothing's happening. They're just kind of waiting around, and it kind of is more of a character study on these people and these characters as they're going through just waiting and waiting and waiting out in the desert with nothing to do, and how they're kind of starting to break down mentally and emotionally as they're away from their families and friends and everything as well. And it is a good movie, but it's just quite slow and there's not a lot really happening in it. But there are some excellent scenes, like the scene in the barren kind of desert when there's all the oil spraying up from the ground. That's a really epic scene. And yeah, the performances are good, but yeah, it's probably one of my least favourite Mendes films, although it is still a good film. Next we have another really good film, and this is Revolutionary Road. This is another one I will put in the amazing tier. I might like it more than 1917, to be honest. I think it's a really good film. It's kind of the opposite of Away We Go. It's a really dark and depressing kind of film about a couple whose marriage is breaking down, and it stars two of my favourite actors, Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, back again from their Titanic collaboration, and they are excellent here. Like, their performances are just incredible. They should have got Academy Awards for their roles in this film because they both do amazing jobs. The period setting in, like, I think it's the 1950s, just looks amazing and super real. The drama is really heavy and dark and intense in this film, but it's a really excellent film, and it has great emotion to it. The musical score by Thomas Newman, once again, is great. You've got a lot of great supporting roles in this film too, like Michael Shannon is here in a great role, David Harbour is here in an earlier role, Kathy Bates and Catherine Hahn. Everyone is really on point and excellent in this film, and it all builds up to this really devastating kind of ending, which is actually really, heartbreaking to watch, but the performances just sell it so well, and I think the movie is really good. Just keep in mind, if you haven't seen it, it's not a feel-good film at all. It's quite dark, but for what it is, it really is an amazing film. I really like it a lot. So next up we have Sam Mendes' second film, and this is like a gangster Prohibition era father-son kind of revenge film, I guess you could call it. It's based on a comic book as well. This came out in 2002, and it stars Tom Hanks. You've also got Jude Law and Daniel Craig in one of his earlier roles, Paul Newman, of course. And I really love gangster films set in this kind of period, the 1920s, 30s, 40s and all that. And Tom Hanks being one of my favourite actors, Sam Mendes, one of my favourite directors, Thomas Newman, which gave probably my favourite film score that he's ever made in this film as well. Everything just came together to make an excellent film, and this is actually my favourite Sam Mendes movie, so I'm going to put this at the top of the masterpiece tier. Yes, I like it even more than American Beauty even. For me, it just does everything right, and the production value of this film as well. Like, American Beauty is a good film, but it doesn't have the visual kind of aesthetic that Road to Perdition has. Like, there's some sequences in Road to Perdition, like, I think Roger Deakins shot the film, so it makes sense, but like the nighttime shootout scene that's silent and you just have the piano music in the background and stuff like that, like, it looks incredible. And the emotional catharsis of the journey between the father and son as they're getting to know each other, and it's being told back from the son's perspective, it's really beautiful and emotional, and Tom Hanks is great, the action's great. Like, I haven't watched it for a few years now, but it's an excellent film and I always am in the mood to watch it, so just talking about it makes me want to watch it again. So I would highly recommend Road to Perdition if you haven't seen it. One of my favourite movies of all time, and definitely his best film in my opinion. So going from his best film to probably my least favourite of his movies, his most recent film, Empire of Light, came out in 2022, and it's kind of like a romantic drama, I guess you could say. It was good. I'm going to put it, again, like I said, none of his films are below the good tier, but it is his weakest film. It has some good drama, some good visuals, some good acting and things like that, but the film overall had a lot of storylines that tried to follow but didn't quite mix very well, and the characters weren't super memorable for me. However, when I was watching it, I did enjoy it quite a bit. I thought the film looked good, sounded good, was well acted and things like that. Definitely good enough to stay in the good tier, but like I said, it is my least favorite of his films. I don't think it has music from Thomas Newman either, unfortunately, but it was good. I would recommend a one-time watch, but that's probably all it is. But it's still, like I said, not his best, but not a bad film still. So lastly, we have the two big James Bond films that Mendes directed, Skyfall and Spectre, back to back, and sorry, they're both really good films in my opinion. Lots of fun, and I'm not a huge Bond fan. In fact, the only James Bond films I've seen are the Daniel Craig era films, and I really like all of them besides Quantum of Solace. But Skyfall is personally my favorite of the Bond films that I've seen, and Spectre is a very good one as well. So I'm going to put Skyfall in the amazing tier, probably at the top. Um, yeah, these three films in the amazing tier are all pretty much equal, so it's hard to kind of put them in a placing. But Skyfall is an excellent film. I think it's the best James Bond film of the Daniel Craig era, even above Casino Royale. I just think the way it's shot, like the movie looks beautiful to look at, and it's a lot darker of a film. There's some great character development and action. Daniel Craig is excellent as the character. And yeah, it's a perfect kind of James Bond film, but still it's not quite as high as those two films I have in the category above it, but still it's very close to being. And Spectre is not as good, like it has its weaker moments. The bad guy, played by Christoph Waltz, you don't see a whole lot of, which is unfortunate because he's a fantastic actor and I would like to have seen more of his character, but it's actually a movie I haven't seen for quite a while, so I really want to get back and see that movie. But I did like it. I'm going to put it in the good tier. I'll put it between Away We Go and Jarhead. Whoops. Because I own these films, so I do like all of them. But yeah, so that's where I'm going to put his films, guys. So as you can see, he's a very top-heavy director, no bad films. He's only made 9 so far. I hope he keeps making more. I know he does a lot of work on Broadway with plays and things like that as well. But it would be good to see more films come out from him soon. And yeah, if you haven't seen any of these, I would actually recommend all of them, especially the higher up ones. But yeah, a very good director. He's only been making movies since 1999 and has just pretty much made hit after hit, in my opinion, with a few films that are just okay or good. But yeah, definitely recommend. So please, guys, let me know what you think of this director below, how you'd rank his films, which ones you've seen or haven't seen, and please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.